Scrum Master. Where Scrum Master really is kind of the project manager role that we traditionally think is for the project manager. They facilitate the Scrum process and practices. They enact the values and principles of the Scrum area of expertise. They kind of make sure everyone is moving the same direction. They're following the principles that are set forth in the rules and the ceremonies. We enable close cooperation across all roles and functions. So really, you are the facilitator. You are a facilitator. That's really what it is. It's not driving projects to completion anymore. You're facilitating that other people drive to get the project done. So it's a different kind of role than what you're used to as a traditional PM. Some of the same skill set is kind of required. A lot of soft skills are required. What you want to be able to do is to take a Scrum team and make it highly performing. And the team that I was on, which is why I moved to the program level, we only had 4 people, and we outperformed teams that were twice the size because I made sure that everyone cross-trained. I helped them and facilitated them to get their jobs done so we could get twice as much work done with less people. But they were empowered to do a lot of it. And that really has to do with how the Scrum team works and the leadership that you build. And that has a lot to do with the rapport you have with your product owner as well, to make sure that you're all on the same page. And the idea is to get the team members to be highly performing and allow them the ability to do outside their scope. We had, for example, we had a Windows builder. He expressed some interest in Linux. So we drove his management to allow him to take Linux training. And he became a Linux admin. So that right there, it expanded our ability to do many different projects now because we had a Linux engineer and a Windows engineer in the same team, but it was the same guy. So we could take in a lot more diverse projects to be able to get that done. We're also working with our SQL engineer to be able to have him do Oracle and MySQL. So therefore, he would be able to expand his role and also be able to eventually be able to take on many different projects without having to bring in outside help into our Scrum team. Because when we had Oracle-type projects, we would have to borrow a resource from another team to be part of our Scrum team for that sprint. And sometimes that creates some conflict because that resource might not be available. The idea behind having a set Scrum team is you always have the resources there. So one way to do it is to hire someone and bring them in, or you just cross-train. And that's really the value that we want to bring. And that all begins with the Scrum Master to make sure that happens. Another thing that we do is we remove roadblocks. If they're having problems with something, you go and solve it and get it out of their way so they can just work. And you shield them from those disturbances, all the noise that happens outside the Scrum team, all the typical management noise. You take all that hit so they can just get their job done, and you interrupt them as needed. But I never ever have them attend those meetings. It's pointless. They have work to get done, and it's a very defined amount of work now with being a Scrum team. That's your job as a Scrum Master to take care of that. You support the team through servant leadership, bringing them to a self-organizing state. I kind of already went over that a little bit. But again, it's kind of they decide on the work. So typically in a project, you say, it's going to, Linux install takes this amount of time to get done. You put it in your project plan and you get done. This way here, what we do a little bit differently is you ask the engineer, how long do you think it's going to take you to build all that? And you actually have them input the data into the tool that you use to keep track of it. That allows them to be more self-organized and self-leading, and therefore they're more invested. So when they say it takes amount of time, you can be pretty sure that's what it is, because it's not me dictating to him and he misses a date and goes, oops, didn't make it. Now it's him that said what the date was going to be. Another good advantage of a Scrum approach, an Agile approach. Scrum Master also works with management to track progress, be proficient with Rally tool. We use Rally. A lot of people use different tools to do this, but we use CA Central. That's kind of, you need to make sure that everyone does their work within Rally, updates their pieces that need to be updated, And again, it's not, you're not driving, you're coaching a lot. You also enact the values and principles of Scrum, which means having the Scrum ceremonies like the morning kickoffs, the retrospectives, all those things that need to be done within to keep the Scrum team working. That's what you do. And you facilitate creativity and continuous improvement. That's a really big one. Now, you got to make sure that you allow people to be creative and to think outside the box, and make sure you're always improving what you're doing. Like I said, if a guy or a person needs to have some help with a certain skill set, you go out and go find it for them so they can learn how to do it. And that way they're continuously improving, because what then happens is it increases your capacity and allows you to do a lot more with less. And that's what the whole game is here. Really it boils down to is a good Scrum Master views the role of providing a service to the team. Really, that's what your job is. In removing impediments to progress, facilitating meetings and discussions, supporting the team to become self-organizing. And my team, as I left, it was self-organizing. They built their own user stories. They just did it. I just sat there and watched and answered some questions, provided a little guidance, but 90% of it was done by them. As a matter of fact, even get down to the task level, I would just say, product owner, just throw in a high-level user story and let them go. Let them put the tasks they need to get done, because they know better than us how it gets done. And pretty soon it makes all our jobs a lot easier. They feel more empowered and allows them to get their work done. And they also have a say in how long it's going to take, so we don't overcommit them to something that they just can't get done.